Yeah, I do prefer to keep my horses turned out for the majority of the time. If the weather's nice, they definitely stay out. I did 3-day eventing. I came up riding English, and I didn't start out a barrel racer.
She's a blue jean baby with her hat down low, chasing that wild wind wherever it blows, flying through the night just as fast as she can go. Yeah, it's one right, two left, riding like hell round that clover leaf pattern that you know so well. Sitting just right with the reins in her hands underneath the bright lights, chasing them pins. She's one of those nobody knows out making some noise. Yeah, she's a dark horse.
They get a little aggressive. But I love the brood mares. I don't know. I just love taking care of them, and I like coming out here and checking on them. They're pretty special. I get attached to them really more than anything for some reason. They're good mares. They have their pecking order, and I'm definitely at the lower end of that. I like a kind horse, and a horse that's got a nice long stride, and so if something doesn't fit that, then they don't stick around long. I definitely like something that's very user-friendly. I do try to keep up with the industry, and it changes every year. What I do futurity, so we're really big on bloodlines, and I try to keep up with what's out there winning, and especially important to me, what the other trainers like to ride. I don't like to learn things the hard way, so I definitely want those bloodlines that other people have success with as well. And I like horses that like to be trained on. That's another thing. There's a lot of good a lot of great horses out there that are known to be a little tricky and temperamental and gritty, and those haven't been for me. I definitely like the ones that are really user-friendly. They want to have a good feel about them. They want to feel broke, and they want to train and they want to learn. That's huge on me. I want a horse that wants to please. I like when I'm riding around, I do like when the horses have their ears forward, I know that they're looking at something and they're not really paying attention to me. I do like my horse's ears to kind of come back and forth, lets me know that they're paying attention to me and looking where they're going. Some of them get really aggressive and lay their ears back, and that's fine too. But I do like a horse that their ears are moving. I feel like they're really paying attention to me. Those ears go forward, they're looking at something. Because barrel racing it happens so quickly. When I did the English riding, our cross-country course was over miles. My dressage test was over several minutes. So you had time to focus and get on your game if it maybe didn't start well. But with barrel racing, it happens so quickly. Like, you have to be on, like, right away. Go from a warm-up, low-key, keeping your horse calm, to laying it down. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better, and I've, mentally have to, tell myself things, to stay calm, because it transfers to my horses, and I don't want them to be nervous. But I've learned to handle my nerves throughout this, and, as much as I've done it now, I feel like I've gotten very, very good at it, the high pressure situations. When I go down the alleyway, some of the colts, I think really clearly when I go down the alleyway. I think that's actually when I'm most clear-headed, I feel like. I feel like I'll go down the alleyway thinking about what I need to do, how to set up my angle for the first barrel for that particular horse. Just very in tuned with what horse that I'm on. I love the high-pressure situations, but it's something that it's taken me a lot of years to love, because it's sometimes scary. It's scary and fun. you know, the adrenaline, you get your heart racing, but I love that part of it. The first slot race, I was like almost throwing up. Yeah. And now I like crave it. I'm like, yeah, we got this. Whenever you know, take the bridle off and tie the horses back up, one of my pet peeves is people that just leave it like this, you know, tied up, because if something got its leg caught in there, it could be a really big wreck. So if you're gonna do that, I just untie it or make sure that you fasten the halter back up. That way something, especially like tied to the trailer when they're kind of close, doesn't get its leg caught in there. Safety. Don't ask me how I know. Absolutely, less is more, and I don't ever plan on getting on a horse and just camping out on them on a daily basis. As soon as they do what I want, my goal was for that day, I quit them, and I make a big production out of quitting them. If they did what I wanted and it's at the other end of the arena, I get off immediately and pet them and walk them back on foot. Like, they know when they did something correctly. It's a huge deal to me that they know they did something correctly. The next day, we just build on that. I'm really fortunate to live so close to Brazos Valley Equine. Even if I wasn't close, that's where I would be taking my horses. And just a couple miles from them is the Brazos Valley Stallion Station and Rehab Facility. And that's where I take my horses. That's where I took Digger when he needed the rehab. They work very closely together, so they can, you know, stay on top of what the horse's needs, you know, even on a daily basis. I routinely get these horses vet checked, even when I don't suspect anything wrong. Take them into Ricky Osterloh, and he'll jog them off. We even start at the beginning of the training. That way we have a baseline of, you know, how they start out, and my vet can get, you know, familiar with them. We took Girls Dig Fame in just for a routine checkup and found he had a sprain. And I had no idea. I'd been riding him every day, but the horses tend to kind of, you know, cover up things, and because they do want to do what you want them to do. So, you know, sometimes you don't feel it, those little things. And so I'm very, very big on taking them in and getting them looked at, even when I don't suspect anything. But in this case, he did have a sprain. It was mild, and he needed a couple weeks off. And it fell over the Lance Graves slot race, and we had a slot for him there. So it was a really hard decision to make, to turn him out of that. He'd been running so well, but it was the best thing for him to do. He needed, yeah, it cost $5,000 to enter that slot. So it was a heartbreaker not to get him to go. And I knew if we'd have taken him, he probably would have done well. He wants to win, you know, but we knew he was sore, and the right thing to do was to give him the time that he needed. So we sent him to Brazos Valley, and they rehabbed him there. They've got a cold water spa, and they have some other modalities they use on him to help speed his healing process and get him back to sound quicker. They had him back in 2 weeks, and it was well worth the time off. He came back with a vengeance and just dominated the Diamonds and Dirt slot race and the futurity there.
Won all 3 rounds of the ERA finals in Dallas. Could she win the $75,000 here tonight? Gotta mash the gas, yeah, it's looking good. Yes, ma'am, 15-5-1-8, Kassie Mowry and Girls Big Fame take the $75,000 check right now.
this is a Dash for Perks mare that I have, and this is her JL Dash to Heaven baby. Come on, girl. Come on, baby. Love this baby. He's kind of the ornery one of my group. I have 4 colts this year, and he's a little wilder than what I'm used to. All of my epic colts are really friendly, and he's just a little bit skittish, so I'll have to work on that. I need to bring him up and mess with him some.
Just spend a little bit of time with him.
This is my Dash to Fame daughter. She's the full sister to Dash to Freedom that Jana Beam went to the NFR on. And this is her epic leader, Philly. Come on, girl. And you can see she's turning gray right now. She kind of looks like she's got the mange because she's shedding out. I have not had one of my colts act like the recipient mother. And I've had several out of recipient mares. They never met their real mother, and they act like their real mother. So yeah, I do think that their personality is very much comes in their DNA. I entered San Angelo this year really to try to help me out with one of the futurity colts that I have. He's really aggressive style-wise and really hunts his turns. And San Angelo, this was February, March of his 4-year-old year, so he's only had really a handful of runs. He's been to a couple futurities. I run them just once or twice a month at 1 or 2 events. And I felt like I wasn't just riding him as good as I could have been. I tipped a couple barrels here and there for him to really win big. And I felt like it was my fault in the way I was riding him. I just wasn't being aggressive enough with him, which is really hard to do this early in their futurity year because they're just babies and they get distracted really easy. So my plan was to enter San Angelo, which the first round is in a slack type situation, which I thought he could handle really well. And but being in a different atmosphere than a futurity with futurity trainers, I thought if I take him and kind of out of our element and get him around these rodeo girls and really watch them run and ride, I thought it would help myself to ride him better. And it worked. I got to watch about 100 girls run that morning and sent him out there, and he placed in the top 10 of San Angelo in the first go around. And really that was as thought out as it was. I never thought about even making it to the next round. It just wasn't thought out past that. I just entered it really to try to help my horse and myself as a team. And so he did really well, and there were several girls that needed trades, so I traded, not thinking even that I was going to come back to the rodeo because it fell over top of the American, and also I have a futurity in Kinder, Louisiana. So it just wasn't thought out. So I ended up drawing up where I could make it right before I went to that futurity. And so I asked Martha Smith, I had Firewater Makes Me Happy, and hey, what do you think if I take Junior? It's a different pen the second go. She said, yes, great, take him. So we took him, and he did really well, and never thought any more about it. And every day we kept checking the results, and he stayed in there, in the top 5 with my futurity colt's first go run and his run. We were making it back to the finals in a really good position. But I was in Kinder, Louisiana at this futurity, and everybody there was awesome and keeping up with the times and everything. Everybody knew I was sitting really good for that rodeo, and I just never thought about going back to it for the short go because I'm there with my futurity colts. And everybody really kept pushing and was so excited and saying, you need to go, you need to go. And So we made it work. I found a flight out of there and had a lot of help, you know, with my futurity colts, and Martha and Jeff got Junior to the rodeo. I ran the futurity that morning. I got out of there about noon. It went really well. My colts did really good, so it was a good day, and got on my flight. Had a connection in Dallas, and I get to Dallas and they're boarding the flight and I don't have a seat. The flight was oversold, and so I just about had a meltdown. I'm just standing there, I have no luggage. I just have my hat box. I'm in full rodeo attire. That's all I have is this hat box, which everybody thought was pretty funny. They didn't know what it was. And I tell the lady, I'm like, you know, I have to make it. If I don't make this flight, you know, I cannot go tomorrow. It's too late. And a guy had overheard me, and they offered him a voucher, and he offered me a seat, and I made it to, I flew into Abilene. And from there, I had a 2-hour drive. I got a rental car, and I drove 2 hours to the rodeo. I got there about 30 minutes after it started, met Martha and Jeff there with the horse, and it was just, I was full of adrenaline. I had so many people helping me get there, relying on so many people, and I just was, like my nerves were just escalated, and I think it helped me ride him how I needed to. I rode him really aggressive. We ended up running the fastest time, and came out of the arena. You couldn't hear the times, and so I didn't know for a good 5 or 10 minutes after I ran that I actually won the rodeo. And so that was awesome. Martha came out, and we call it ugly tears when we cry when we're happy. And she came out crying ugly tears, but they were happy tears. We were super excited. And I guess the perk to winning San Angelo is you get a special invite to the Houston Rodeo, which I did not know going into it. And so yeah, when I went back to kinder, Kenneth Springer said, hey, you just qualified for Houston. And I was thinking, what am I gonna do? And when is it? I might have a futurity going on that week, I don't know. So it was, San Angelo is the rodeo that just kept on giving. And from San Angelo, and those horses, both horses, came together to get me into Houston. So they got me up in a bracket that I could make, and it was right following the Diamonds and Dirt Futurity. So I couldn't run one of my futurity colts. They just ran 3 times, you know, at that futurity. And so Martha let me borrow Junior again. And so the plan with him this year was, we had him qualified for the American. He did really well and made the semifinals there. The plan from there was for Martha to take him. He's ready to go, and she's ready to ride him. And so we never made any long-term plans with him this year. I didn't think I would have him past the American. And so as I kept getting, you know, going and making short goes and getting invited, I had to keep borrowing him from her. Martha, can I take your horse? So she's just been thrilled throughout this whole thing. And so, of course, she let me take Junior to Houston. I wasn't quite sure how he would handle it. And so they let us in the arena at like 4 o'clock every morning. So I was in there every minute of that hour, just doing slow work. I trotted him through so many times, walked him through. Really, I just stood right in the middle of the pattern several times, just looking around at everything. I wanted him to really take everything in, and really when the nerves came, I wanted him to feel comfortable to go towards those barrels. Yeah, Junior's, the first round went really well, and basically showed me we had a reason to be there, and it really helped my confidence. It gave me a lot of confidence going from that. I knew the other girls would come back harder the next round. I had a really good draw my first run, and I think it did really help me. And so I knew for the second round, you know, the girls were gonna come back with a vengeance. And but Junior came back and placed in that second go as well, qualified for the short go, the shootout. And Martha and Jeff were able to come up to watch that, and it was pretty awesome. They didn't know the format, which I knew. I'd looked at the schedule, but it's 2 runs in one day. And so they have a short go, and then the top 4 from there in each event come back and run right after the rodeo ends, right? I mean, we probably had 45 minutes in between runs. It goes really fast. And they didn't realize that. And so junior runs, we win second in our semifinals in the shootout. And Mike grabs Junior and he's heading out the door, and Martha's so excited we were reserve, and I had to break the news to him that we weren't. We had 1 more run yet to go. So it was pretty funny and exciting. So yeah, we came back and he came back and won. They're wanting me to pick what my all-time favorite horse ever would be. And I don't think I can say anybody other than Girls Dig Fame, because he's standing right here and he might be upset if I do. I train futurity colts because it's the only thing that I'm good at. I can't sing, I can't dance. I try, but I can't. I feel like it's what I'm here to do.